Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I'm Rowan, 39 years old, and until a few months ago, I believed my marriage was steady. Not magical, not dramatic, just solid. My wife, Maribel, was 37, smart, confident, the kind of woman who could walk into a room and instantly make everyone feel like they'd known her for years. We'd been together for over a decade, long enough to survive job changes, a mortgage, and the quiet routines that slowly replace the fireworks you start with. But sometimes a routine doesn't mean peace. Sometimes it means you're just not looking closely enough. That morning started like any other. I was sitting in my truck outside a client's site, sipping lukewarm coffee, trying to convince myself that Monday wasn't all that bad. My phone buzzed. I expected a grocery reminder or a picture of our cat stretched like a furry croissant on the sunlit rug. Instead, I saw a message I had to read twice. Maribel, going on a trip with my boss. Back Sunday. My stomach didn't drop. It didn't twist. It just tightened, like something had finally clicked into place after rattling loose for months. She hadn't mentioned any trip. Not a word about travel. Not even a hint about weekend plans. And her boss? Leighton North. Divorced, 50-something, annoyingly smooth, always wearing suits like he lived inside a cologne commercial. I'd met him once at a company event. His handshake lasted 3 seconds too long. His smile felt like one of those hotel soaps, overly scented and too slippery to trust. I stared at the message for what felt like an hour but was probably a minute. Then I typed back something simple. Me, didn't know there was a trip. 3 dots appeared, then vanished, then nothing. Not even a flimsy excuse. 10 minutes later, those same 10 minutes she thought I'd spend confused or too stunned to react. That tiny window of her underestimating me is exactly when her life spun out of her control. Because here's what she didn't know. For weeks I'd felt something off. Coldness. A distracted glaze in her eyes when I talked. The way she guarded her phone like it held nuclear launch codes. I wasn't suspicious enough to accuse her of anything, but I wasn't blind either. So a month earlier, after talking myself in circles, I installed a simple legal location sharing app tied to our family cloud account. One we'd both agreed to years ago but neither used. She'd forgotten about it. I hadn't. I opened it now, heart steady, hands surprisingly calm. She wasn't at work. She wasn't even near her office. Her little dot hovered over an upscale hotel on the other side of town. The same hotel I'd seen Leighton walk into during a corporate networking night. The same one he bragged about having a preferred suite in. I didn't rage. I didn't panic. I didn't play the dramatic husband sprinting across the city. I just sat back in my truck and let the numbness settle into something sharper. The thought. Plan. The first call I made was to an attorney my cousin had recommended years ago when he had his own marital disaster. A man named Adler Kincaid, quiet, meticulous, and so ruthlessly efficient he made surgeons look sloppy. He picked up on the second ring, listened to what I said, and replied with a calm, "Gather documents. Leave emotions out of it. I'll handle the rest." The second thing I did, because I knew Maribel's financial habits better than she thought, was log into our joint accounts. She'd once joked that she couldn't travel without emergency shopping money. Fine. If she wanted to pack bags with her boss, she could fund the trip herself. I transferred everything that was legally mine into my personal account. Clean, above board, nothing sneaky. Just what I had a right to. Our joint credit card, her favorite, was next. I removed myself from the account entirely, leaving her with full responsibility for anything she charged. The tiniest, pettiest part of me wondered how quickly she'd panic when her beloved hotel concierge swiped the card and it declined. But mostly it wasn't about revenge. It was about clarity. About protecting myself from someone who no longer respected the truth enough to say it out loud. 10 minutes after her message, exactly 10, I sent my own. Me, got your text. Take whatever time you need. Handle your trip. I'll handle everything else. I didn't explain. I didn't accuse. I didn't give her anything to push against. People like Maribel don't fear anger. They fear silence. They fear losing control of the narrative. And that's when her typing dots finally reappeared. Maribel, what do you mean? Why are you acting weird? I didn't respond. Instead, I drove home, walked through our front door, and for the first time in years, the house didn't feel familiar. It felt like a place I'd outgrown without noticing. I packed one suitcase, only essentials, left her side of the closet untouched. As I zipped up my bag, my phone rang. Maribel. Then again. Then again. Each call went to voicemail, because the woman who had confidently texted about a weekend getaway with her boss was now realizing she wasn't the only one capable of changing the rules. And we were just getting started. By the time I reached my brother's place across town, the sun had dipped low enough to turn everything a dull amber. He didn't ask questions when I knocked. He just opened the door, took one look at my face, and nodded me inside. That's what I liked about Quinn, quiet loyalty without the theatrics. I set my bag down in the guest room and plugged my phone in. The screen lit up like a slot machine. 8 missed calls, 5 messages, 3 voice notes, all from Maribel. For someone who had seemed so self-assured about a trip, the sudden desperation in her timing was telling. I didn't open anything. Instead, I sat down on the edge of the bed, letting the silence fold itself around me. It wasn't peaceful, not in a comforting way, but it was honest. More honest than anything I'd felt in my marriage in months. After a while, curiosity got the better of me. I opened her messages. Maribel, you're scaring me. Can you please answer? Why did you take money out? Are you leaving? What did I do? Please don't do anything dramatic. Dramatic. That word made me laugh. Quiet, humorless. She didn't know what dramatic was yet. I didn't reply. I didn't want a text argument. Instead, I waited, and right on cue, the tracking app updated. Her dot moved quickly out of the hotel, then paused in the parking lot, then shot down the highway straight toward home. Exactly what I expected. People don't panic when they know they're innocent. They panic when they're afraid the lie has finally collapsed under its own weight. I let her race home while I sat with Quinn, the two of us eating cold pizza and pretending to watch some forgettable documentary. My phone buzzed nonstop, but I waited until nearly an hour later, after she'd definitely discovered the house empty, before I finally texted. Me? I'm safe. Staying somewhere else tonight. Please respect that. Her response was immediate. Maribel, where are you? Why are you doing this? I need to talk. Need. Funny how the word suddenly mattered to her when it was her stability on the line. I didn't answer. Instead, I forwarded all the financial paperwork to Adler, the attorney. He confirmed everything was in motion. Divorce filings drafted. Asset protection secured. Spousal support calculations prepared according to the state guidelines. Clean. Legal. Precise. That night, I slept harder than I had in weeks. The next morning, I woke up to a novel-length message from Maribel. She'd gone from panicked to defensive to apologetic in a span of paragraphs. She claimed the trip was strictly professional. She claimed the hotel meeting was for planning purposes. She claimed she forgot to mention it. She claimed she never meant to upset me. But the best part, the part that told me she still thought she had room to control the situation, was this. Maribel, if you're upset, we can talk about boundaries. Just don't make rash decisions. You know I'm loyal to you. Loyal. A word she used like a band-aid, hoping it might cover a wound she still refused to admit she caused. I didn't argue. I didn't accuse. I didn't give her the fight she expected. I simply texted back. Me. My attorney will reach out. Her reply was instant and explosive. Maribel, you're what? Why would you bring a lawyer into this? Rowan, stop acting insane. Nothing happened. Come home. But here's the thing. Guilty people always shout the loudest. I muted her conversation and turned off notifications. If I'd read any more, I knew the emotional whiplash would wear me down. That was her pattern. Righteous indignation layered under just enough vulnerability to make me doubt myself. Not this time. Later that afternoon, Adler called. She's already retained representation, he said. Her attorney contacted us. They're requesting a meeting. I could almost picture her pacing around the living room, pulling at her hair, waving her arms as she tried to convince her lawyer she had everything under control. I wondered if she told him about the boss, about the hotel, about the message she sent me. Something told me she hadn't. Rowan, Adler added in his calm, surgical voice, we're in a strong position. Keep communication minimal. Don't return to the house yet. I thanked him and hung up. That evening, as I sat quietly by the window in Quinn's living room, a different kind of ache settled in. Not grief, not anger, just the realization that the woman I once loved had treated our marriage like a safety net. Something she could fall back on after dancing close to every edge she wanted. And she had finally stepped off. I didn't need revenge. I didn't want a showdown. What I wanted, what I'd been craving for months, was honesty. The kind she couldn't give. 3 days later, I went back to the house with Quinn beside me. Maribel was there, waiting, eyes swollen from crying, arms crossed like a shield. She demanded explanations, screamed, pleaded, tried to reach for my hands, my chest, my face. Any part of me that still felt familiar to her. But the moment she saw the folder in my hand, the divorce documents, something in her expression cracked. Not dramatically, just finally. She understood. Her life hadn't been destroyed because I exposed anything. Her life had been destroyed the moment she bet our marriage on the assumption that I would never walk away. I left the papers on the entry table. Then I walked out. No yelling, no accusations, no dramatic monologue. Just clarity, quiet and complete. Because sometimes the most powerful thing a man can do is stop trying to explain himself to someone who never listened in the first place.